Good afternoon. This is Craig Modelmog for this week's episode of Wall Street X's and O's. Today is Friday, May 8th. It's hard to believe we are already into May. And I would like to start out by saying that this show is my opinion only. It is not a solicitation to buy or sell any products or services to go out and actually do anything. It's informational only. As an investor, you can and will lose money actually. And so that is a possibility. And I need to execute this from a regulatory standpoint. So anyway, how's everybody doing? You know, I'm going to start today's little episode off in honor of all the mask wearing. See, Tanya, my wife, made me this very cool KU mask, and you know, I'm getting used to my glasses fog up. I'm sure your glasses fog up too. So I figured I would do the start of my show in honor of everyone having to wear masks around Fort Collins and elsewhere in the country. I would like to first dispel a rumor that's out there where someone is saying that actually wearing your mask can be dangerous because you're inhaling carbon dioxide, CO2. I'm going to dispel this with a Reuters article where they quote the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, and they said that CO2 will build up in your mask over time. However, the levels will likely build up most terribly to people exposed to tolerable. See, this is, for those of you who have never seen this show, it is uncut and unedited, and as usual, I prove that because that was terrible. Anyway, it says, let's go back here. It says CO2 will slowly build up in your mask over time. However, the level of CO2 likely to build up in the mask is mostly tolerable to people exposed to it. So you might get a headache. You might most likely would not suffer the symptoms observed at much higher levels of CO2, which would be dizziness, passing out. Although I would say that's kind of what you feel like on Friday, so I'm not sure what the problem is. So anyway, all I can say is suck it up and wear your masks, okay? These are crazy times. Ton, thanks. I do love this. I actually feel cool. I think it's a fashion statement. I told my kids that, you know, we used to laugh at people in China and other parts of the world for wearing them. I think they're going to be around for a while. I'm just saying. So anyway, here's the deal. Regardless of whether this was a good decision or not to go on lockdown, whether COVID is as bad as they say it was or think it is, that really doesn't matter. What I really want people to focus on is being safe, okay? What we do know is this is a very contagious disease, and we need to respect that, all right? Wear your masks. Exercise social distancing, be smart. If you are in one of those high-risk age zones or zones, you know what? You need to still be smart in these situations. And that's what I would implore on everyone here. I really want everyone to be healthy, and let's really just focus on taking care of each other. Let's be respectful of each other because everyone thinks about this differently. We have some people that are freaked out and are like in a bunker. We have others that are out seeing people and doing their thing like nothing happened. You know what? It's fine. Each to their own. Let's be respectful of each other. Okay. So anyway, moving on. We got a lot to talk about today. The first thing I'm going to hit on is the Fed. If you go back to March 23rd, the Fed had mentioned that they were going to do an unlimited amount of bond buying, okay? What that means is they weren't just going to buy government treasuries and mortgage-backed securities like they did during the financial crisis. They were going to start buying corporate bonds and junk bonds. Crazy, I know. There's a group out there that really thinks that this is not even legal, and this is honestly going to be something that goes to court someday, and the Supreme Court is probably going to be ruling on this because Fed Reserve bylaws, they really don't have the ability to buy anything outside of a government-backed security. So this will be interesting. But anyway, they came out this week and said that they are going to start this process. What they are going to emphasize on is buying super short-term corporate bond exchange-traded funds and potentially high yield funds. This is going to be interesting. It's kind of propped up the corporate bond market. Why are they starting? I think it shows you that there are chinks in the credit market out there. Okay, little recap. We have more credit right now more corporate debt in the credit markets than any time in history, if my reading serves me correctly. So lots of debt out there, okay? Fed's going to start buying. Moving on here. U.S. budget deficit. Here's a great stat. You all know I love stats. If it's the truth, statistics do not lie. The deficit to the GDP will surge this year to the highest level since 1945. For you history buffs, what was going on in 1945? It had a W and a W and a 2 associated with it. That is a really, really bad deal, okay? The Fed currently likes where rates are. Rates are probably going to remain low for a while. We're seeing that in mortgage rates. If you've not refinanced your mortgage, it may be worth starting to look at and see if it is worth your cost in going out and getting that lower rate. It's all about cash flow right now, people. Looking at earnings. Earnings have been interesting here. I got some stats. As of the close yesterday, we had 425 of the S&P 500 companies that have reported. To date, sales growth, so this is growth in sales across all sectors of the S&P, is up 0.93. Some of the most notable declines can be found in energy, materials, industrials, and utilities. Not a shocker. Areas that were positive on the sales side, again, not shocker, healthcare. Duh. You know, that tends to be a very high performer when you're in late market cycles or you're in a cycle like we're in right now. On the earnings side, not so rosy. Earnings have come in on average down 7.2%. Some of the most notable financials, minus 35.05%. Consumer discretionary. These are things like hotels, airplanes. See, it is uncut and unedited. That's my phone. I don't know who that is, so you're going to have to wait. That's what voicemail's for. Airlines, casinos, Disneyland, consumer discretionary. Okay, those are things that we do because we want to, minus 23.6. Some other bad numbers can be found in industrials, materials, energy, and also communication services. A couple bright spots, though. Healthcare, again, good on the earnings side. Utilities, bad in sales growth, good on the earnings side. Go figure. Real estate was flat. Consumer staples, that is the Walmarts of the world, things that we need, up 2.47. So what we're seeing is the slowdown is starting to take hold. What I am concerned about, okay, is that only factors in 1 month of shutdown, okay? GDP slowdown is going to get worse. Q2 is going to be a quarter, and this is Craig's prediction. It's probably not worth a penny, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. We could see some numbers for Q2 that are going to rival depression numbers, okay, which is big. And so when I look at the markets right now, what I'm concerned about is that the markets are overly optimistic, okay? I know I was 6 foot. I would just say I was 6'1". 6'1" sounded better than 6 foot. I really wanted to be about 6'4". That's a whole nother story. It's like me saying, you know what? I am optimistic that if I work out, that I'm going to be able to dunk like Michael Jordan. Probably not going to happen. For those of you that know me, Dan, you know who I am. You know who I'm talking about. I did dunk over him in high school. It was on an 8-foot rim, though. So you know what? I think the optimism is excessive right now. And I get concerned that people are getting sucked in. It reminds me a lot of the market action we saw in 2000, 2001, and 2002, where we had the sell-off in 2000 and the tech wreck. Things bounced back. Why? Oh, things are really not that bad. Companies are doing okay. They're making money, which was a massive full bull. So I'm concerned. So if you feel like you are missing out, I'm going to use a teenager term here, FOMO, F-O-M-O, fear of missing out. That is the market right now to the T. okay? FOMO is ruling the day, of which that's all I got to say. It's crazy. I look at it and people say, so what do you think? I'm like, I have no clue. Makes no sense at all, okay? Not the first time though. Markets are crazy. Markets are struggling to gauge how they're going to price everything. I do think there's a sense of over-optimism out there. So be careful right now, okay? I've used these opportunities to scale back on risk, and as I say, pull our pedal off the gas and pull risk off the table. I would encourage you all to think about that, all right? Because this thing can turn on a dime. We've seen it happen already on both sides, the sell-off and now the rebound, all right? So anyway, so let's be cautious out there. I think right now a cautious stance is necessary. The last thing here before I close out is unprecedented carnage. Don't you love that word, carnage? That's just a great word. There are some words, it's kind of like in the Three Amigos, they talk about plethora. There is a plethora of data out there, which, what a bad movie, but what a great movie. Unprecedented carnage in the labor markets. Here's the deal. In 8 weeks, we have wiped out 23 years of job growth, okay? 2, 3. That's 2 decades plus 3 years, people. That's a lot, all right? Right now, the unemployment rate they are coming in at 14.7%. There's been a lot of misclassifications and other measures that really aren't being reflected accurately. Most likely, it's closer to 20. So basically what we're seeing is 1 out of every 4 people in the United States right now is unemployed. Okay, what I'm also worried about, the PPP, you probably heard about it, read about it, probably sick of it. What that required companies to do who accessed it was keep people employed for 8 weeks, okay? I get worried about what happens after this 8-week period is up, which we're starting to approach here. We're 8th of May. So the end of this month is when that's going to start happening, because that's when PPP started kicking in. I'm concerned that businesses are going to start going, I've had all these people employed that the government is paying for, and I do not have the money to continue to pay for them. So thus I am going to lay them off. So I'm worried that we're going to have another surge in unemployment numbers. So this is not pretty. That's where when I look at the market performance here as of the last couple weeks, it's not reflective of what's happening, okay? Restaurants, once they do open up, are only going to be able to open up at anywhere from 25 to 50% of capacity. Most restaurant owners that I know can't make a living at half full, okay? Casinos, same thing, they're cutting back. You know, you hear NFL football is ready to kick off. They're talking about stadiums. They were talking about the Miami Dolphins, about how our stadium seats 68,000. We're only going to let 15,000 in, and they have to be escorted to their seats. That's going to be interesting. You know, you're sitting in a stinking stadium that's empty. These capacity numbers don't add up. The math doesn't work, okay? And that concerns me. So, again, our small businesses need help. I'm going to tell you that right now, okay? My brother's a small business owner. I'm a small business owner. Thankfully, we're doing okay, but there are a lot of small businesses that are hurting, all right? I want to encourage you to support your local small businesses, because without people like you, they are not going to be able to stay in business, okay? So it doesn't mean having to go and sit in a restaurant. You can order food from them. You can order online from them. Support them somehow, because they need our help. So I'm going to throw that out there to you all and spread that out. Support our small businesses, okay? It is a bitch out there right now, and we need to take care of these people, okay? Because the government is not going to take care of them, okay? For you people to think the government is the answer to everything, you are wrong, okay? People have to take care of people. That's what this country was built on, is people being good to people. All right, so let's get back to that. In closing here, I got a funny story. I'm sitting in the parking lot. Tanya knows where I'm going with this, and she's probably just going to shake her head. And I'm sitting there waiting to go in and pick up my food at Chipotle. I got their little app. It's very cool, by the way. I ordered a ton, and I said, hey, I'm going to surprise her, and I'm going to order some food. So I'm sitting there, and this is when you know times are crazy, okay? And I'm sitting there, and this young kid and his girlfriend pull up next to me. They pop out, and they go to walk in. Someone in Chipotle gives them this when they walk in the door, and they come running back to their car, and I see him pop the trunk. And all of a sudden, I see the kid go in his trunk, and he's doing this, okay? And he's wrapping this around his head, and he's doing this deal, and I'm jacking up my glasses, and he's doing this deal, and then I see him holding it with his hands, and he's going and he's running in to get his Chipotle, okay? This is not a mask, people. This is not a mask, okay? This is called you're a dumbass and you left your mask at home and you're so hungry that you are willing to put anything around your face to go get your food. I kind of get it. I was in college once before. I probably would have done the same thing. Another thing, I'm getting kind of crazy. It's Friday and I'm mixing up a nice little cocktail. If you work at a bank, this is bad. If you see this, this is bad. I'm sorry. I've actually been in 2 bank robberies. I worked at a bank for a while, way back in the day, and I was in it, and we got robbed twice. It's not fun. I had nightmares for a year. Anyway, in closing here, I wish everybody a great weekend, okay? Let's support our small businesses because they need our help, people, all right? It's time to put politics and BS aside, and let's take care of each other. That's what it's about anyway, okay? Take care of people. We need to do our jobs, all right? And lastly, we got Mother's Day coming up here. Mom, if you're watching this, I love you. Thanks for everything you've done for me. You're fantastic, and I want you to know that. To my wife, who's the mom to my kids, I love you too. Ton, you're fantastic, and you've been the best mom to my kids ever. To all of you moms out there, you know what? Being a mom is the hardest freaking job on the planet. Okay, you do not get enough props for being a good mom, and you need to love your moms up. You need to tell them how great they are, and without them we would not be where we were at. So anyway, to close out this week, May 8th, this is Craig for Wall Street X's and O's. I love you guys. Have a great weekend, and we're going to keep battling, all right? You guys take care, love ya, and I am out.